Hello friends, welcome back to your UPSC. Today in biogeography, we will be discussing some important points in ecosystem and biomes. So let's get started. So in ecosystem and biomes, the first topic is factors influencing world distribution of plants and animals. So what are the factors that influence the growth of plants and animals in certain area? Okay, why we find certain species of trees or plants or flora and certain species of fauna in specific type of climate or climatic region. Okay, so that we are going to discuss. So despite of scientific and technological advancement that human has done, so with that we are able to grow various plant species in different environment. Okay, and we are able to survive in different climatic condition, and also various animals are kept in zoos and other places. Okay, so they are brought from different areas. Okay, so this type of technological advancement can help us in just a few cases. Okay, in small area. Okay, but when we talk about large area, the distribution of plants and animals is closely influenced by physical factors. Okay, so the physical factors like climatic condition, availability of water and other factors, they are basic influence of growth of plants and animals in certain area. Okay, now we are going to study different factors, physical factors, which are responsible for the growth of plants and animals in different areas. Okay, so the first factor is concept of tolerance. See, tolerance here is what are the extreme limits that we can tolerate. Okay, what is the minimum temperature and what is the maximum temperature in which a plant can survive. Let us take an example of plant. Okay, so a plant, it is immobile. Okay, so it can't move from here, from one place to another, to in order to survive. Okay, so what is the maximum and minimum tolerance capacity of this plant in which it can survive is studied in concept of tolerance. Okay, now we have studied the concept of survival of the fittest. Okay, so survival of the fittest, so in survival of the fittest, the species which were able to survive or adapt themselves with the climate, they were the fittest in that sort of environment, so they were more tolerant to the climatic changes. Okay, so the climatic change that any species is able to tolerate, or is the species which is able to sustain in different climatic condition, or the extent of climatic change is studied in concept of tolerance. Okay, next we have climatic factor. Okay, so in climatic factors, see, we have various aspects like light, the amount of light required, the amount of temperature required, precipitation, drainage and availability of surface and underground water. Okay, so firstly talking about light, light is extremely important environmental factor. Why? Because it is a vital source of energy for ecosystem. Okay, so it is the vital source of energy. Okay, from where we get light? From sun. Okay, so sun is the main source of light and energy. Now, light is also required in a specific limit. Okay, so excessive light may be injurious to ecosystem development by damaging the tissues and decreasing productivity. So the quantity of light, like, it differs from latitude and longitude, and from altitude to altitude. Okay, on the high altitude, the invisible ultraviolet rays are intense. Therefore, the only species which are able to cope up with the ultraviolet rays are able to survive in higher latitude, higher altitude ecosystem. Okay, then intensity of light. If we talk about intensity of light, see, rate of photosynthesis, it depends on intensity of light. Okay, so the plant which can do photosynthesis in very little amount of light, okay, they will survive in some darker areas also. Some are able to do photosynthesis only in bright light. Okay, so they will survive in the areas which are having bright sunlight. Okay, so this is the type of difference. Then another is duration of light. See, with different latitude and with changing season, we have different duration of light. Okay, so in like higher latitudes we have smaller duration of light than in lower latitude. Okay, and in summers we have more light as compared to the winters. So these things are noted in the growth of plants. Okay, because rate of photosynthesis is also dependent on light. Then next aspect of climatic factor is temperature. So whether it be plant or animal, they need a minimum and maximum temperature to give optimum return. Okay, for example, the upper limit of plant growth is 60 degrees Celsius, but the crop, they dry up in 40 degrees Celsius only. Okay, but the crops like ray, they are crops which can survive in the temperature of 2 degrees Celsius also. Okay, so the upper limit and lower limit is fixed. Okay, for every plant. Okay, so there is a upper limit, that maximum temperature they can survive and the minimum temperature they can survive. Okay, and in which they can reproduce themselves and give us better yield. Okay, so these things are dependent on temperature. Then firstly we will talk about, we have talked about effect on plants, then we will talk about effects on animal. See how temperature affects animal. We have two types of animals. Okay, first is cold-blooded animals and second is warm-blooded animals. So the cold-blooded animals, they actually hibernate in very cold climatic conditions. Okay, like in winters, the bears hibernate. Okay, why? Because at that time their metabolic processes, they become slow. Okay, and the warm-blooded animal, they are able to survive in much extreme climates also. So this type of things are influenced by temperature or thermal aspect. Then we have precipitation, or we can just say amount, availability of water. So the availability of water is determined by amount of precipitation and other factors also, and it determines distribution of plants and animals and types of plants and animals that will be found in that area. Okay, so if we have abundant amount of precipitation, then we will have rainforest type of vegetation. Okay, evergreen, deciduous. Or if we have like very scanty rainfall, then we will have precipitation, sorry, we will have plant species like xerophytic plants, okay, like cactus and others. And animals in here will be the one who requires more amount of water. Then here we will have animals like mostly small animals, like we will have rats, mites. Then bigger animals like camels, which can store water or which can adapt themselves with the scanty water availability. Okay, on the basis of availability of water, there are various plant species which are classified. So first is xerophytic plants. Xerophytic plants, they adapt to seasonal and perennial drought. Then we have ephemeral plants. These are desert plants have which complete their cycle in very short period. Okay. Then we have halophytes, the plants which tolerate saline conditions. Like there we have like salty water or saline soil available. Okay. Then we have hydrophytes. They are few flowering plants that adopt themselves, living submerged in water. Okay. So they are like submerged inside water and they grow inside only. Then we have mesophytes. They are wide range of water tolerant plants. Okay, they have wide range of water tolerance. Lastly, we have epiphytes. Epiphytes are plants that derive their water and nutrients from air. Okay, and likewise we have animals also. So the animals we have discussed how they adapt themselves to the availability of water. Then we have one more factor, that is wind. So wind actually, high velocity of wind can cause appreciable increase in the rate of transpiration and limit plant growth. Okay. In very exposed region like mountains, summits, coast, open plains, vegetation may be dwarfed as a result of speedy wind action. Okay. So there we will find shrubs and herbs type of plants, flora. Okay. Then lastly we have drainage. So drainage actually is, so in drainage and availability of surface and underground water, it is same like precipitation and availability of water sources from other different sources of water. Okay. Now we will move on to topography. Now in topography we'll look into altitude of the area and its height from the sea level. Okay. So with height, temperature is also influenced. Okay. And water availability is influenced, wind factor is influenced, and sunlight is influenced. Okay. And all these factors, they influence plant and animal growth in areas. Okay. So that is how topography, it influences plant and animal growth. Then we have edaphic factor, or also known as soil factor. See, soil is a vital component in terrestrial ecosystem. Each plant need a specific type of soil for growth, like cotton needs black soil, and most of the plants, they are grown in loamy soil, alluvial soil. Okay, so the soil texture is very important, and it is determined by soil climate. Okay, and it is also affected by aeration, drainage, and root penetration. Okay, and as the soil is important for plant growth, okay, and plant, they are primary producers. Okay, they are producers, and they are the initial source of energy after sun. They are the major source of energy. Okay, and they are first in our ecosystem, sorry, food web. Okay, so with their availability, the availability of fauna also depends. Okay, so flora affects the presence of fauna. Okay, lastly we have biotic factors. Biotic factors, see, each ecosystem has different type of plants and animals. They compete with each other for food, nutrition, light, and other requirement. Man himself is also responsible for the diffusion of plants and animals in different part of the world. Okay, so man modifies the plant and improves their variety and meet the growing demand of food and raw materials. Okay, so man and other modifying factors like change in climate. Okay, change in climate, like we have seen the example of Darwin finches. According to their temperature and other things, they adapted themselves. Okay, they adapted themselves with the available conditions, and because of which they were able to survive. So other modifying factors, including men, are included in biotic factors, which influence plants and animal growth. Okay. So this was about factors influencing the water distribution, world distribution of plants and animal. Now we will look into deforestation. Now deforestation is basically removal of forest and stand of tree where the land is therefore converted to non-forest use. Okay. So here what happens, forests are cut down, forests are cleared. See, this is the forest land. Some part of forest are cleared for the non-forest use like industrial purpose, housing purpose, okay, for plantation purpose, agriculture, okay. So all these are non-forest use. So cutting down of forest and stand of trees for non-forest use comes in deforestation. What exactly is the basic cause of deforestation? So the basic cause of deforestation is overpopulation. We can also say population growth. Okay. So because of population growth, we have demand of food, increasing demand of food. Okay. So more people, more grains we have to produce. And for producing more grains, we require more fertile lands. And to get the fertile land, we have to cut the forests. Okay. Now, these lands, when they are overused because of intensive cultivation, they turn into barren land. So, these lands are deserted, and another patch of forest is cut down to cultivate crops. Okay, so this is how intensive cultivation is done to meet the demand, increasing demand of food. Next is for production. Okay. Not only food is required for the growing population, we require clothing, we require various other things. Okay, so all these things, they require industries to manufacture these things. Okay, and to manufacture these things, we require industries, and industries require land for their establishment. Okay, so industries are not established in very populated area. Okay, so they are established in outskirts of cities, and in various areas we have forests in outskirts of cities and villages. Okay, so these patches of forests are cut to establish the industries. Okay, now along with industries we will have workers and other staff of industry which who needs to be established near this area. So for residing them, further more land is cut, further more forest is cut down to make houses for all the staff and working staff. Okay, so this is how production also requires cutting down of forest. Then we have for settlement. Now for settlement, see the rising population. We have some of the rising population will be working as workers, skilled and unskilled workers, but others, they require land. Okay, so for new housing projects are launched, and these projects, they are established by cutting down forest. Okay, here the buildings are built, and these buildings, they are used to settle these people. Then we have medical use. Then we require, see, forest, like 10% of species in forest, more than 10% we can say, they have medical values. Okay, we can also say that every other species in forest, every other plant in forest have some or the other medical value, and these medical values, when they are known to the scientist, they require these plants in huge amount. Okay, so for that also, the area, forest area is cleared up. Okay, then for plantation purpose, for growing specific type of plant species, like we have to grow bamboo. So for that area, huge area is cut down, and there only one species of plant is grown. Okay, so for plantation purpose also, forests are cut down. Then for various other uses, like for timbers and etc etc, for making furniture etc, so for that also forests are used. So these were basic causes of clearing forest. Now, what are the problems that we are facing by deforestation? See, despite of growing awareness and increasing investment in environmental protection, there is shrinkage of forest area and reduction in biodiversity and accelerate. Okay, so now because of deforestation, we have various environmental problems. We have reduction in biodiversity, and this reduction is accelerating at a very fast pace. Okay, and this is not only in tropical area, it is the forests are being cleared in both tropical and temperate region, which is causing a high concern or great concern for environmentalists and planners. And this deforestation rate is quite high in developing countries like Brazil, China, India. Okay, and it is continuing to increase, while in some of the developing countries many of the forest area are degraded because of air pollution. Okay, because they have already industrialized, and there is high pollutant content in those areas in developed countries. Okay, so high pollution content has degraded the air quality also, and this air quality is not stagnant in one area. Okay, so it air moves from one place to another, and because of its motion, it reaches to forest area, and because of this, the forest area is also degraded. Now, see, we are facing various environmental problems. The most important environmental problem that we are facing because of deforestation is global warming. Okay. See, forest or trees, they actually act as carbon sink zone. Okay, so CO2 sink zone is being shrinked because of deforestation, and because of this, now CO2 is released. Okay, and this CO2 has a capacity to store in itself good amount of heat, and because it is storing in itself a good amount of heat, this storage of heat is leading to rise in temperature, global temperature. Okay, and because of rise in global temperature, we are facing various problems that we have already discussed in topic of global warming. Okay, then second problem is we are losing various flora and faunas. So various species of flora and fauna have been extinguished because they are not finding any suitable climatic condition and physical condition for their survival. So because of this deforestation, there is environmental degradation, and because of this environmental degradation, we have lost various exotic species of plants and animals. Then, because of deforestation, we have huge amount of land degradation. See, when the forest is cut down, some of the forest land is used for cultivation of crops. Okay, so when we are cultivating, we actually do intensive agriculture. Now, in intensive agriculture, what happens is we use fertilizer and pesticides and all these chemicals to increase the productivity of soil. Okay, but it does not help in quite a long run. Why? Because due to intensive cultivation, the plant actually, the crops that are grown, they take away most of the nutrients of the soil. And because of pesticides and all these fertilizer and pesticides, what happens is this soil becomes saline and it becomes alkaline, acidic or alkaline, on the basis of what elements are present in them. Okay, so because of this, the quality of soil it degrades. Okay, and thus causing into land degradation. Then we have another use, like when fertile uh, forest land is used for housing purpose, okay, for settlement, then also land is degraded. How it is degraded? Such a fertile patch of land is now used for non cultivation or non forest use, which is a waste of fertility of this land. Okay, now because of deforestation there is reduction in forest quality. Now first we will see what exactly is forest quality. See, forest quality is actually, there is increasing attention and focus on the health, genetic diversity, and age profile of the forest. And this age profile, genetic diversity, and health of forest is what is collectively known as forest quality. Okay, so this deforestation, it degrades the forest quality, including soil, nutrient losses, and reduction of forest value as habitats. Okay, so because of deforestation, the amount of fauna that used to live or habitants of the forest, they are decreasing, because of which the forest quality is reducing. Okay, so these were the problems of deforestation, and we can see that continuing forest loss and degradation will have serious socio-economic and ecological implication at local, regional, and global level. Okay, exploitation and clearance of natural forest are actually destroying the environment, and with that our flora, fauna, and even the human health is also degrading. So these are the basic problems that are caused by deforestation. Now what can we do to conserve deforestation? So to conserve deforestation, the first basic thing is afforestation. Okay, so to plant more and more trees, taking the help of local people, by educating them, then various NGOs can help. Then we have various movements like Chipko movement is the best example for this. Okay, so various movements, okay, they can also help. Then another thing is governmental schemes and acts, and also some of the governmental punishments in the form of penalties, etc. Okay, then some global efforts can help in mitigating the effect of deforestation and then also mitigating the effects of climatic change which is happening due to deforestation. So that was about deforestation. So that was all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. Let's meet in our next class. Till then, take care and have a nice day.